Neptune doesn't receive quite the fanfare that the other 9 celestial bodies, planets, orbs, gods, whatever you want to call the other 9 planets in astrology receive. And that's okay. That's okay. It is kind of a creep. It lurks. Its story tends to unfold very slowly. Neptune's going to spend 14 years approximately in a sign. So it's an outer planet. It's going to tell a much broader, larger story of the collective than those personal planets. So let's get into it. Let's talk about a modern history lesson, one that we have all lived from the lens of Neptune, so that you can get a better understanding of how impactful Neptune actually can be. Why do I care to talk about this now? 2 days ago, Neptune went back into Pisces. It's been in Pisces before, though. It was there for 14 years. In April of 2011, on the 4th, it entered Pisces. And then it stayed there until it moved into Aries on March 30th of 2025. So a few months ago, this year. It moved into Aries hours after that final Aries eclipse, or it moved into Aries after that eclipse in Aries. So this was significant. This was a big shift. And I don't think anyone could argue that this year has not felt like a major shift. So let's back up a little bit and just talk about Neptune and Pisces. Neptune, in modern astrology, rules Pisces. So it came home, so to speak, in 2011, and it got to work on Neptune and Pisces things. Neptune, it's all about dissolution of boundaries. It's all about faith. It's all about unconditional love, but it's also in its lower frequency lies. Where have you been lied to? There's a martyrdom also, especially in Pisces, because we're also dealing with Pisces. We're dealing with faith, spirituality, surrender, martyrdom. So we're seeing a time from 2011 up until now where attendance in churches have gone dramatically low. We're at an all-time low, at least in the history of the United States. And you're seeing a shift between organized religion and spirituality. But at the same time, even in the spiritual community, as it's increasing in numbers, they're still trying to put restrictions on it. They're still trying to use it to control people. So we've seen, unlike other times in the nation's history, a period of time where people are really starting to dig back in to finding their way back to an internal compass of faith, of spirituality. People don't necessarily want to be told what to believe anymore. And that's been a huge theme in the last 14 years. We start to see where we've been lied to. We're starting to see, these crisis events occurring within like the Catholic Church, for example. How could men that are so godly do these awful things to children and then show up on Sunday and tell us how to live our lives? Many people don't want that anymore, and so they've started heading in droves into pagan practices, witchcraft, New Age spirituality. It's exciting. It's different. It's not as restricted. We've been lied to, but we want to have faith in something. So the other thing that I've noticed since 2011, and really since 2008, when Obama was elected, we saw during his term, and then the back and forth between Obama, Trump, the Biden, like, we start to see almost a deification of these presidents from their respective camps. We start to see where politics has almost become a new religion in and of itself. I grew up during a time in my, earlier 20s and 30s where you could vote for whoever. You go to the polls, you vote, you go about your day. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. No one's going to fight you over who you voted for. Not really. I mean, I'm sure there's some outlying exceptions, but on the whole, not really. But what we've seen in the last 14 years is this extreme division between blue and red. And it almost becomes to a point where it's like the Judeo-Christian battle, Muslims versus Jews versus Christians, like fight. Like now it's like MAGA versus blue, or whatever the fuck they want to call their side. Fight. It's become like an identity, the way that traditionally Catholicism may have been an identity. Now it's liberal, conservative, red, blue. And it's become such a problem. So these are things that Neptune and Pisces have really been focusing on. So now at 29 degrees, the final degree, 29 degrees of a sign, especially with these outer planets, are pivotal moments, especially when it's going to be a situation where like it was at 29, then it moved in to a new sign, then it came back. And now it's like, it's the final countdown. This is your last chance, your last shot to get this energy refined, correct. And because Neptune takes 14 years to transit a sign, we will never in our lifetimes see Neptune and Pisces at 29 degrees ever again. So between now and when it moves back in, I'm like, where are my notes? On January 26th of 2026, it's going to move back into Aries. Neptune in Aries is a spiritual warrior. Okay, because Aries is a warrior. It's war. It's conflict. So it's almost like now is the time where we are really looking at the last 6 months with Neptune in Aries and seeing what conflicts are on the horizon. One cannot argue that the last 6 months, and really since January 20th, we've been like, what the fuck is going on? What? So it's almost as though Neptune at the 29th degree of Pisces, which this is all about faith. This is a time where we really are being called to dig in, to learn real, true, internalized faith and discernment, to anchor yourself into a faith, into a spiritual path, into a belief system that's going to help us reckon with the next couple of years that are on the horizon. Because astrologically, things are looking a little bit rocky. You don't even need astrology to read the writing on the wall to tell you that that's a fact. So I'm going to do another video where I'm going to kind of back up on some stories and talk about how conjunctions between the major planets, the outer planets, really tell major tales, and as they unfold, tell stories that are going to be long-lasting in nature. So go to the next one. It gets pretty cool. So let's get into it.